Evermore. Bina was no ordinary African grey parrot. With her sleek, silver feathers and piercing amber eyes, she was a beautiful creature, but it wasn't her appearance that made her extraordinary. Bina could see ghosts, spirits lingering between this world and the next. Yet, no one knew her secret, and it led to a life filled with confusion and abandonment. From the time she was a fledgling, Bina could sense the presence of the unseen. She would sit in her cage, her head tilting as she watched figures drift through the room, invisible to everyone else. At first, her owners thought it was cute when she mimicked voices that no one else heard, but their amusement quickly turned to irritation and fear. Bina would squawk and chatter at empty corners, holding entire conversations with what seemed like thin air. She would flap her wings wildly, as if trying to shoo away something that her owners couldn't perceive. The more she saw, the more she tried to communicate, but it only made her seem erratic. One by one, her owners gave up on her, thinking she was simply too strange to keep. After being passed from home to home, Bina eventually found herself at an animal shelter. It was a place filled with the desperate cries of animals hoping for their forever homes, but Bina didn't feel any hope. She'd been through it all before, and this time would be no different, she feared. There was nobody who would accept her and love her for who she was. She felt lost, misunderstood, and lonely. Even the kind shelter workers didn't know what to make of her, because her special ability didn't stop at the shelter door. She spoke to many spirits while she was there, but no one wanted to give her a forever home, and she was so lonely. One day, a man walked into the shelter. His name was Adam, and when Bina caught sight of him, she knew he was different. There was something about him that drew her to him. Adam continued moving through the bird enclosure, his eyes scanning the cages. Most of the birds ignored him, some squawked and fluttered around their cage when he came near, but when he reached Bina's cage, something changed. The moment he stepped in front of her cage, their eyes locked, and for a moment, neither moved. Then, slowly, Bina tilted her head, and Adam smiled. "She's a talker," the shelter worker said, trying to be polite. "But she's a bit different. Talks to people that aren't there, you know." Adam chuckled. "Sounds like she'll fit right in with me." Which confused Bina and the worker, because they didn't know that Adam also had a habit of talking to people who weren't really there. You see, like Bina, Adam could also see ghosts. His ability interfered with his life so much that he had lost all of his friends and family, because they couldn't believe what he could do, and they would not accept him. He was here to find a companion who needed him, and who he needed just as much. He gently reached his hand out toward Bina, who leaned in to receive a pet from him through the cage. And just like that, Bina had a new home. At first, she was cautious, unsure if this new home would be short-lived like the others. But she soon realized that Adam was different. When she spoke to the ghosts, Adam didn't shush her or look at her with suspicion. Instead, he would glance over at the same spot she was looking at and nod as if he understood. One evening, a few days after the adoption, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the room filled with shadows, Bina saw a new spirit, a young girl with sad eyes, hovering near the door. Bina began to squawk, trying to get Adam's attention. To her surprise, Adam didn't seem startled. Instead, he walked over to Bina and gently stroked her feathers. "I see her too," he whispered. Bina blinked up at Adam, her heart fluttering with a mix of relief and joy. For the first time, someone understood. Adam stood beside her cage, looking at the ghost with a kind expression. "She's lost," Adam said softly, explaining to Bina. "She doesn't know how to move on." Bina chirped, feeling a deep sense of connection with Adam. Together, they watched the ghost, and then Adam began to speak, not to Bina, but to the spirit. He guided the girl, his voice calm and reassuring, telling her that it was okay to let go. Bina watched as the ghost hesitated, and then slowly began to fade, her sad eyes lifting with a hint of peace before she disappeared completely. From that day on, Adam and Bina became a team. They helped spirits find their way to the afterlife, guiding them with gentle words and soft chirps. Adam would speak to them, and Bina would offer her companionship, a comforting presence for the lost souls. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Bina no longer felt alone, and neither did Adam. They had each other, and together, they made a difference to those who were unseen by the rest of the world. And so, in their small, cozy apartment filled with love and warmth, Bina and Adam lived happily together for the rest of their lives, surrounded by the magic of the unseen and the comfort of true companionship.